Well, we pay taxes, and because of that, we are entitled to certain services and quality services at that from our governments. And this is a show where we tell you how to ensure that you get those services. Hello and welcome to Citizens Hotline with me, Kavita Krishnan. On the show with me today is a very special guest, Shailesh Gandhi, former CIC and RTI activist. Shailesh, welcome to the show. And let's start with this mega mirror now impact. Shailesh, so there are 93 industrial units near Bellandur, near the Bellandur Lake catchment area, which have been served closure notices by the Karnataka State Pollution Control Board. Now, Mirror now has exclusively got access to the order copy. Shrija gets us more details.
In the follow-up to our extensive Bellandur coverage, finally the Karnataka State Pollution Control Board have sent out notices to at least 93 industrial units in the Bellandur catchment area. In fact, we have the order notice with us. What we understand from this is that closure directions under Section 33 of Class A of Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974 has been issued to at least 93 units. We understand that these are the industries which in fact, they are garment industries, dyeing industries, as well as the laundry industries, which have been served notices to immediately shut down, bring the shutouts down. What we also understand at this point in time is that until a committee is formed, orders will be issued at least to all the 93 units. However, we also understand that there are at least 486 industrial units around within the 5-kilometer radius of Bellandur. However, so far only 93 industrial units have been issued closure notices. In Bengaluru, Shrija for Mirror Now.
Well, Shailesh, of course, that comes after, a lot of, after citizens have been really demanding this for a long time. Mirror Now also, our editor Faye D'Souza went on ground and she demanded action from the state. It is after all of that and constant pressure on the state government that something is actually being done. A fence has they have started erecting a fence around the lake to stop dumping. Now we see that the Pollution Control Board is acting, but of course there is a lot that they can still do. We have, interestingly, a question from Deepak in Bengaluru, which also deals with the Bellandur Lake. He says, the foam in the lake is definitely bothering me. The thing to worry about now is not the foam, but the system's failure. The government is simply dysfunctional and defunct. He says it is high time to sack the officials involved in it. Is this something that citizens can demand? Is this something that, that can be done?
I think they should. First and foremost, I think what we do not understand or recognize is the fact that environment is, in a way, something of the future for our next generations. And when we are damaging something, we are actually damaging the future generations' prospects. In fact,
Shailesh, the bigger problem here is it's not just the lake. Now, from what we understand, and this is what there is an eminent scientist from the IISc who has been working, who is actually heading a committee, leading a committee over here to revive the Bellandur Lake, a state-appointed committee. And what he says is that the groundwater in and around Bellandur is also poisoned because of the lake water, which means people are actually drinking poisonous water.
First and foremost, no industry should be allowed to discharge their effluents without adequate treatment into any water body, including the sea, I would say. But at the very least, lakes should be completely no-no. I mean, you cannot discharge effluents without treatment. Today, the world all over treats every kind of effluent, whether it is gaseous or liquid. In India, what's happened is we've just treated our water bodies as if it's our own property. We don't care. We don't care for the next generation. We don't care for the nation. And I think we have pollution control boards which unfortunately are largely ineffective. In most cases, they are money-making rackets. They are concerned more with how much money will they get. And I think these are people who must be held responsible. Otherwise, we don't need pollution control boards. What in the world are these pollution control boards doing if they allowed such effluents to be discharged? And now they go and give a closure notice after your channel exposes this, brings it forward, your editor goes somewhere. That's not your job. This is the job of the Pollution Control Board. They have failed in it. And I think I would suggest to Mr. Deepak, get citizens together, demand make a demand that the Pollution Control Board people must be sacked. Action must be taken. It's not merely sufficient to give notices to the industries. Why were they allowed to function for so long? Why were they not conscious?
But Shailesh, how do you really demand this? Do they go to court? Can they file a class action suit? Because this is these are a number of citizens that we're talking about, an entire area.
I would ideally suggest that they should first start by talking to their MLAs, their corporators, and their ministers.
They have been doing, which they've been doing for a long time.
If there is no result, give them a date and say if by this date you don't do something, then go to court. This is serious, and I think we should find out ways, not even allowing things to come to such a pass.
Also, Shailesh, the NGT is in fact looking into Bellandur. A lot of this is because also of the NGT order that has come and which the state government is duty bound to execute. Now, apart from this, what can citizens do? Like Deepak very clearly pointed out, he wants action taken against these officials because they were literally sleeping on their job. What can be done?
Ideally, and I'm now distributing the responsibility, this must have gone on for some years. When this effluent was being discharged into the lake, at the first signs, I wish citizens could have, this is not their job directly, but indirectly when the state machinery fails, in a democracy, citizens are the monitors. If citizens do not act as monitors in time, then they can get into a crib session and say everything is wrong. But that doesn't resolve anything. Today the lake is poisoned. Today the groundwater is poisoned. No matter what we do, we can't reclaim it for I don't know how many decades. Therefore, my submission is citizens must start believing and acting as monitors the first time they see something going wrong. Not wait until the end and not wait for your channel to come and make a major issue out of it. Citizens must do it themselves. And I would also say that media.
So you're saying it's collective responsibility, and even if there is a pollution control board, even if there is a state government which is supposed to be looking into all of this, there is nothing that citizens can do, no action can be taken against these officials or against the government as such?
So today, the point is first the damage has been done. Let's recognize this. Let's not forget this. No matter what you do, you can only get revenge. The harm has already occurred, which is sad. We shouldn't allow this.
Which is sad, but I believe that the citizens are justified in seeking redressal of some sort.
Certainly.
What can they do? Can they go to, they have already gone to the NGT. So would you recommend they go to the civil court, the sessions court?
If NGT has given an order, they should first insist that the state government follow that order. If the state government doesn't follow the order, I think the shortest route would be to go back to NGT. Because NGT has given an order and they will ensure that their order is complied with instead of their going into another litigation.
Right. So Deepak, that's your answer over there. There is already a case pending with the NGT. The NGT has given an order in this matter. So if you find the government at fault, you should in fact go back to the NGT because the NGT is already seized of this case. Rather than start a fresh case, file a fresh suit in some other court. Right? And of course, at Mirror Now, we will continue pursuing this matter until that lake is cleaned. That is an assurance that I can give you. Yogesh writes in from Mumbai this time, and he says that I'm a resident of Dadar. I want to know whom do I approach if I need a new water connection. I've inquired with the BMC, but I did not get a proper response. What do I do now?
I see that there is a lot of things on the website, but citizens generally are a little too lazy to look at it. It's easier to send a question to Mirror Now, I guess. When I looked at this, I realized there is an MCGM portal, www.mcgm.gov.in, in which if you hunt properly, and I have also got the exact link, it is aquaptax.mcgm.gov.in. Just go there. There's an application form there. And if I'm not mistaken, it's online. You can actually file your application online. And most probably this is covered under right to services. So therefore, if the service is not received within a particular number of days, you have recourse to the RTS and you can therefore ask for penalties to be imposed on
How
the
many days should the service be delivered within? How many days do we?
I do not know. They would have spelled it out in the right to services.
Okay.
My guess is it should be a week or a fortnight, but I won't make a guess because I have not looked at it carefully.
So an online application should work is what you're saying. He does not need to go personally to any department.
Precisely. And also here I'm joining things and realizing that there is so much of data available on the web, on websites of government departments. But by and large, citizens are not really using it. We all say we want this information, we want that information. When it's put up on websites, most citizens are too lazy to look at it. So I think instead of just cribbing and raising further demands, we should also look at the websites. Today, a lot of information is available on websites of government. I'm not saying they are perfect. They are pretty bad. But they will improve once people start using it. If people don't use them, it's difficult that they will improve on their own.
Right. Let me at the risk of repetition, Yogesh, this is the link that Shailesh just called out. AQUA, which is Aqua P TAX or Aqua P tax.mcgm.gov.in. This is the link. If you follow this link, you should be able to file an online application to get a new water connection. So there you go. The MCGM is actually providing you services online. All you need to do is go there and look for it. Mayank writes in from Thane. Let's take his question next. He says, I'm a resident of the Ghodbunder Road. We are a group of residents from Bhandup. I want to know what to do if we want to get a new road laid in front of our house. Whom do I approach? So let's assume that he lives on Ghodbunder Road, though the question is not very clear.
It's not very clear, but I presume he's on Ghodbunder Road. Now, it's difficult for me to say. It would either be covered under the municipal body there or under the PWD, depending on where the road is. Or
because Ghodbunder Road is a highway. That's the reason you're saying this.
Or there may be another body. I don't claim expertise on knowing on this. But I would again say that it's not very difficult to figure out. And I think local citizens must make some effort to figure out who is the body involved and then make a representation. Normally I can almost forecast what will happen. You must identify the right authority. Having identified the right authority, get 50 people together, make a common application justifying why a road is necessary. Two things may happen. One is you may get a response if you are very lucky. Two, equally possible, you may get no response. If you get no response for 45 days, there is a very powerful law in Maharashtra. This is a Maharashtra state law called Act 21 of 2006. If within 45 days you do not get a decision on any application, complaint or representation made to any Maharashtra government body, you can use this under section 10 of this act. Disciplinary action should be taken against government officers. This, in fact, is a law which is more powerful than the Right to Information Act, applicable only to Maharashtra, I concede. Unfortunately, citizens are not using it. If citizens don't use it, government also doesn't care. But if enough of us start using this, in every case of delay beyond 45 days for any application, complaint or representation, you have recourse, ask for disciplinary action to be taken. I've developed a format which maybe later on I can share with Mirror now. And this is a very simple thing. Thousands of us need to use this law. It will become as effective, if not more effective, than right to information in resolving citizens' issues.
Right. Shailesh, very quickly, you said Act 21, Section 10. That is what we need to remember as citizens, especially if you're in Maharashtra, because this is, of course, applicable only in Maharashtra. It guarantees that action will be taken on your complaint, on your application, on your service demand within 45 days. If not, you can ask for disciplinary action against that official. Now, tell me this. Now, how is this different from the Right to Services Act?
See, Right to Services Act is for notified services. They list out X, A, B, C, D service and say this will be done in so many days. And in case it is not done, your recourse is to go into an appeal and then a second appeal. And in that process, the maximum penalty that is likely to be levied on the PIO is less than 5,000 rupees. So it's not such a big thing, and we haven't seen much effect on this. This law says for anything. This law came into Maharashtra as an ordinance in 2003. It was because of Anna Hazare that we got this ordinance. Then it became a law in 2006. But it has been given a 14-word name by the bureaucrats so that nobody remember the name of this law. And it's a difficult name to remember, but for short, I often call it Transfers, Charters and Delays Act. Or in Marathi, they call it, sorry, I've forgotten. This.
But if I were to look for it as Act 21, Maharashtra,
you will get it on the website. You will get it on the website. And again, as I said, I'd be very happy to share formats, etc. Simple letter format, which they can just fill in their names and their details and send to the appropriate authorities.
Right. So Act 21 is what you can use if the complaint that you filed, if the information that you've asked for is not given to you. But coming back to Mayank's question, of course he can do this. Now, two things. Where does he go to figure out which authority the road comes under? Will the ward office be able to give him that information? And secondly, like Mumbai, Thane also went to polls for its civic body. Thane also has a bunch of new corporators. Does it make sense to get their corporator to back the residents' demand for a road?
Certainly. One of the things we must realize is, one is for immediate needs, also from a long-term governance perspective, we should get our elected representatives involved in what we do. And I think the current game between citizens and the representatives is, citizens are very happy to blame the political class, bureaucrats are happy to blame the political class, media also does the same thing, and so does the judiciary. We must get out of this mode and say, these are my representatives, I will hold them responsible. But I must also communicate with them. And therefore, I would say, if they find it very difficult, they should go and meet their corporator or MLA and ask them to figure out for them which is the authority. And as I suggested, make a representation first. Convince the elected representative also to back them. If they get the elected representative also on their side, they will have a long thing. And there is no reason why the elected representative would not back them. I can imagine no reason at all justifiable for that.
Exactly. If you are to if you're building a road over there, and also your elected representative has some funds which they are supposed to be spending in their constituency. If you tell them that this is something that we need, we really, really need it, chances are that the elected representative is ready to even shell out the money needed to lay that road. So all you need to do is first at least reach out, get in touch with your corporator, get in touch with your MLA, and at the same time go to your ward office and figure out who that road comes under. And then you should hopefully see some action on that front. If after all this your road is still not made, then please do come back to us, and then we can, approach Shailesh again and ask him what can be done next after that. But you do need to remember, Mayank, it is a long road to build that road. Amit writes in and says, I'm a resident of Kanjurmarg. We've been facing the issue of drug peddlers for the last few months. We tried getting in touch with the BMC, but in vain. What do we do now? Whom do we approach for help? I think he's approached the wrong agency.
Seriously, my friend, do you think the municipal corporation is expected to take action against drug peddlers? 99.9%, to the best of my understanding, common sense says it is the police. Please file a complaint with the police. You're going to the wrong agency and then saying they are doing nothing. I keep repeating, we as citizens need to become more active, slightly more knowledgeable, and then only we can make our democracy function. BMC is the wrong agency, as Kavita said. The right agency is the police department. Again, I would suggest, you go to a police, try and file a complaint, there is a reasonable chance, that they will not take your complaint at all or convert it into a non-cognizable complaint. Take 20 people with you, if that happens. First go alone. If that doesn't work, take 20 people and tell the police, sir, and if that doesn't, take a written complaint and give it to them and say, sir, I'm giving this to you, please acknowledge it. No police can refuse to acknowledge your complaint. And by law, the police has to register any complaint made by any individual. It's called a first information report, an FIR, which only means not that a crime has been committed or something is wrong. It just means that a crime has been reported to the police, and the police are duty bound to give you an FIR against that. But if that doesn't work, as I said, take a written complaint, get 10 people, go to the police station and say, sir, you have to take my complaint, then you take what action you want to. The moment you do that, the police is duty bound to follow through as per the legal requirements.
And also again, reach out to your local representative, your corporator, your MLA.
Do that, but you see, look, every time it's not necessarily the corporate or the MLA that you need to reach out to, because then you become extremely dependent. Democracy is also about the citizen exercise. And really speaking, in my opinion, we will be a true democratic nation when the citizen gets respect. Today, the citizen does not get respect, and therefore, every time we feel we need a intermediary.
Exactly.
We need somebody to broker the deal for us. We may do that as a temporary means, but I think long term, the vision has to be that one citizen, I repeat, one citizen going to any government office must get respect that of a person who owns this government. Democracy, I was taught when I was in school, was government of the people, for the people, by the people. So unless we start feeling and believing that, it will not happen.
So there you go, you own this government, it is your government, you need to feel that you own the government to get the government to work for you. So go across to the police station, like Shailesh said. If they do not take your complaint, go back to them with a letter and with a group of people. If you go as a group, there is very little chance that you will not be taken seriously. Gaurav, question.
Sorry, yeah. Just one thing I want to add to this. When I say government belongs to you, it also belongs to the other person across the table, well, yeah. Because that party is also a citizen of India. The government officer is also a citizen. So please, you can be firm, but do not be rude or arrogant. I've seen citizens, once they get that feeling, they feel arrogant, which is like the VIP syndrome. The moment you are told you are important, they are removing the lights from the cars, but the lights are really in the mind, and we need to remove those lights. So therefore, my request to you also is, please do not be arrogant or rude. Be polite, right. Be firm.
Ask for your rights and ask for it firmly. Gaurav's question next, Shailesh. He says he lives in Ghatkopar. He's trying to purchase property here, but he's not able to handle officials involved in the process of buying the house. I've been asked to pay the amount without any proof like documents of the house. What do I do? Now, I don't know what officials he's talking about, but it's very, very clear. If you do not have the documents to the house, he should not be buying the house in the first place. Right, Shailesh?
Okay. In the absence of any other information, based only on what this is, I have a suspicion based on the data before us, that maybe he's trying to buy an illegal house or something in the slums, for which there will be no documents. But then that is illegal. And I would say none of us should be willing to propagate illegal actions. If there is an illegal house, please don't buy it. Patriotism is not doing illegal things. It's not merely clapping when India wins a cricket match. So if it's an illegal house, which is what suspicion I get from the data given.
No, and patriotism apart, it is also not practical. If you're buying something that is illegal, you're also going to have problems selling it. Because it is illegal in that sense. So chances are a couple of years down the line, either you'll be implicated in it or you will have a problem selling it or getting rid of it. It doesn't really make sense for you to go down that road. If it is illegal and you know that it is illegal, you should not be going down that road.
Usually, unfortunately, I mean, whereas I would say, yes, we shouldn't do that. But a lot of people do because they think it's cheap, affordable, which is the route which we must all understand. We cannot go down that line.
We've just about a minute left on the show, but what we can tell you is from the amount of complaints that we get from people who enter into real estate deals, we can tell you this, that no deal is worth it if there are illegalities involved. No deal is really worth it if the documents are suspect, because chances are you will end up paying a lot more just to regularize what you are buying today. So you're better off paying a little extra and buying a legal house, buying a house which has all the papers intact. And also remember, it will be easier to sell that house. So if it is real estate investment that you're looking at, then you need to be very, very careful before you put in that money. Very quickly, one last question. We have about a minute left on the show. Gurumurthy says, I'm a resident of Bandra. How do I apply for an RTI? I want to find out how much funds will be allotted to award from the BMC, how much has been spent, how much is remaining, what happens to the remaining amount?
For the RTI, for Maharashtra government bodies, there is a simple format, which again is available on the web. I can't communicate this format like this, which is addressed to the public information officer of any office where the information is likely to be. The information that you want would be available at your ward office. So therefore, public information officer, assistant commissioner, whatever your ward, and the address, you know the address. Information, explain exactly what you are saying. Information is what exists on records. It is not asking questions as to why don't you do like this, clarify this law. But what you seem to be wanting is basic information. And you should take a 10 rupee court fee stamp, stick it on that paper. You don't need a form. Take a format on a plain piece of paper, handwritten or computer generated, and sign off there. Stick a 10 rupee court fee stamp and either go and give it there physically, in which case you carry a photocopy with yourself and get an acknowledgement for that. Alternately, send it by speed post.
Right.
You need not go yourself also.
And how soon do you get the answer to your application?
In 30 days, you must get it. But I must also add that as per the requirements of the law, this is information which should be available suo moto on the website
itself, right.
And some of us are trying to get specific orders for these things. But I would suggest...
In the interim, go to your ward office and file the RTI application over there. With that, of course, Shailesh, I'm sorry, but we come to an end of this episode of
just one second.
Hotline.
I would also suggest to our friend that he could also file a complaint with the commission and hopefully get it done on the website.
There you go. That's action that you need to take as a citizen to ensure that you get the services you deserve. Shailesh, thank you very much for coming in and answering all those questions. And of course, any questions to do with civic issues, send them in. We will show you how to get the services that you're entitled to. Thank you for watching.